Welcome, Dale, Ted Watkins.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, to myhairdressers.com. I really appreciate you coming. Okay, and doing some men's hair. It's been really good. Been brilliant. It's been really good. Okay, so just go through what you've done for us today.
Okay, I wanted to show some classic techniques. My first haircut was obviously the psychobilly. It involves kind of sort of classic techniques of the time, really, like a 50s era. Beautiful kind of clipper work, scissor over comb, and lots of kind of sort of quirkiness of that era, you know what I mean? Lots of almost big heavy shapes, big heavy quiffs. So that's my first haircut. And my second haircut...
I mean, I must say, I love the way you started it. Okay, I think, the way you just got in there and basically sort of banged your shape in, for want of a better expression.
To be honest with you, that's very Sassoon. It's bang the shape in, okay, and then what you do is you refine that shape. Once that shape is in there, then you work on the shape, you make it beautiful, you make it very tailored to the client. In a way, when you're in a salon environment, you haven't got time to kind of cogitate, you've got to put the shape in and then you make it beautiful afterwards.
Yeah, because it's too often you see ladies hairdressers actually work with a scissor over comb up to a certain point. It's forever getting there.
Yeah.
And then it's a situation where it's too heavy.
Yes.
And when you brought the top down, it kind of doesn't actually work. So then you've got to take it down again. It's like a fighting battle. It's a salon technique, isn't it? Really, you have a certain amount of time. But also for me, if you work from say the hairline up, you tend to build up too much weight. So I always work from the occipital area down generally because it gives me that shape straight away, and I'm not wasting time on, as you said earlier on, the kind of the lady side of it where it's too baggy, you have to go over it again. It's there, the shape's there, then you refine that shape. It's a quicker method for me. Yeah, no, that's great. I think that's kind of the essence of sort of barbering in a way,
It is.
And I like the way you kind of use the term it's basically how much people are paying.
It is.
To how much refinement and bespoking
let's be honest, if you're charging £10 to generate enough money to live, you have to produce a lot of haircuts.
Yeah.
And so because you have to produce a lot of haircuts, you have to cut those haircuts in a shorter period of time.
Yeah.
So then you use mechanical devices like clippers and clipper guards and stuff like that. If you have the luxury of spending an hour or 2 hours on a haircut, then obviously you can use different techniques, and also the client has to pay for your time. So it's all very much
relative to kind of.
Of course it is.
The actual price range.
That's why you can't decry a technique. It's a technique that is used in a certain situation for a certain money, in my opinion. It is a business, we need to earn money, and you have to sort of cut your cloth accordingly, really, with your techniques.
No, totally. And the second haircut you did?
This was obviously on Tom, and it was much looser, but still had quite a lot of structure. With hair cutting, I believe that you need to teach structure first. So we had the profile, top panel, top right, top left, back, and then we worked on the under panels. Now, the reason why I do that is because if you want to teach others, you have to teach them technique, okay? Now, that's why I didn't go straight in with the freehand, because you can't really teach freehand. Freehand is an expression, so to speak, or it's a confidence, you know what I mean? You know what you like, you get the feel for the hair. And you can't teach that to a young learner or a young student, so you have to give them technique first. So I'm a big believer in technique first, which is the outline structure, and then you refine that outline structure either with freehand techniques or other methods or other techniques you've learned, but always structure first.
Right, okay. No, that's really cool. It's very easy to actually take it so short that it just sits straight.
Exactly.
Because it's that curly kind of movement.
Yeah, but I love that. I love the fact that the hair has movement and it sits differently with different movement within the haircut, and you kind of bespoke it to the client in the head shape, and I love all that kind of hidden detail. I always refer back to tailoring, really.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, a beautiful suit looks very similar to a cheaper suit, but it's the way the cloth sits on the body. It's the way, if you move the arms will not move the other part of the suit. It's the little detail, it's the double stitching, it's the little buttons. It's those little things that I relate to the hair cutting. It is a haircut, it's just only a haircut. But what makes it special is the little details within that haircut. And connoisseurs of hair, people that are used to
good quality hairdressing understand all of that. They understand those kind of things, you know. So that's why clients are willing to pay for those little details, because it's important.
Yeah, that's good. So just give us a little brief kind of history about, you know, where you're from, who you are, and where, where you've been. Sort of thing.
Well, I've been hairdressing since I was 15 years old. There's too many great hairdressers out there that are great at women's hair, you know. And I used to think to myself, well, I can't think of one person out there who's really good at men's hair. No one I can aspire to, no one I can kind of relate to, no one at all. So I thought, hang on, what's the clever move here? Do I go in part of the industry saturate with genius, or do I kind of get into an area where there's no one who, you know, I kind of am worried about, or, you know, I have to compete with? So I thought, okay, you know, if I want to be the best at what I want to do, which is men's hairdressing, I need to go and work with the best. So I went to work with Vidal Sassoon's. As you know, it's a tough place to work. They don't suffer fools gladly. You've got to prove to them that you want this, and you want to be the best, you want to work the best, and it was hard. It was very, very, very hard.
We spoke about this before.
Tears.
How many times did you cry?
Oh, I'm the most stubborn man in the world, and I'm not frightened of anybody, right? But they made me cry like a baby. I'm not frightened of anybody, but you know, because
like a girl.
Because they push you and they push you, and they're not. It's like Winston Churchill said something once. I can't remember word for word, but he said, sometimes your best isn't good enough. Sometimes you need to do what needs to be done. I.e., you know, if you're going to produce something great, if your best isn't good enough, you have to push and push and push and push till you get to what needs to be done. And there's a lot of that at Sassoon's, really. I'm sorry, your best isn't good enough. You either step up to the mark or you're out. And that's the essence of it. That's the beauty of it, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. The pain of it.
It's the tears. But what I love about it, I mean, I haven't worked there for 10 years, but once you've joined the gang, you're in the gang, you know, it's a brotherhood or a sisterhood. Yeah. And I'm very proud of that, you know what I mean? Very proud of that.
Okay. What have you been up to kind of recently? What's your kind of...
Well, I've been very fortunate, to be honest with you, to work with some real talented people. I work a lot with Eddie Pillar, who owns Acid Jazz Records. He's the king of the mods, pretty much, you know, and he's introduced me to a lot of cool things, you know, i.e. Dean Chalkley, who's an amazing photographer who does a lot of kind of sort of band stuff, but he's really into this kind of northern soul, ska. He's into kind of capturing street culture at that time, but you know, the essence of his photography is just genius. So I worked quite a lot with him. I was fortunate enough to do Tony Christie's album cover for Eddie and for Dino. And I just love that diversity of working with, you know, in the music industry and working with creativity and working with these genius, really. I love it. I feel privileged and excited to be around these kind of people, really. I'm very fortunate.